I've been challenged to do something called I am a Wargamer, which is basically answering 3 questions. What got me into this hobby? Where do I see my channel going? And tips and recommendations for anyone into this kind of miniature game tabletop world that wants to start a YouTube channel, giving them some tips and stuff. And this video is going to be me answering these questions as complexly as possible. So this thing has been going around. It was passed on to me by a gentleman called Leif.
Oh, hello!
Which has a YouTube channel called Devs and Dice that you should be checking out. There will be a link to his YouTube channel in the description. Originally, it was started, or this time started by a gentleman called Spud from Chilling Wargamers. And it's like, in Swedish we call them chain letters, which is basically, you ask these questions and then you send it off to like 3 people and then they have to do it, and then there's another 3 people and so on and so forth. I'm a bigger fan of like pyramid schemes where you can actually sort of maybe make some money, but I'll give this a shot. What got me into this hobby? Originally, it comes from the books. Lord of the Rings, fantasy worlds, a lot of sort of Terry Pratchett, which was read to me when I was young by my dad. I think Lord of the Rings really sort of kicked it in, and I was at the same time hanging out with a friend, his bigger brother, painted miniatures. I wanted to paint miniatures. It was really slobby. My dad helped me out. The first ones that we sort of painted together, I think, were some kind of Lord of the Rings type miniatures. There was like a Balrog and dwarves and whatever. But I was young. So like proper war games were too big and too expensive. So stuff like this, Warhammer Quest. There was also Space Hulk, and then a little bit of Warhammer. And then I stopped. Basically, I started doing cooler stuff than, painting miniatures and playing games. It was more like of a kid's thing. It wasn't a hobby. It was like playing games. And then, there was adult beverages and friends and female friends, that kind of stuff. And I haven't really been doing this at all for a very long time. And then I started again about 2 years back. And now the hobby looks sort of like this, which is great because there's a female character on the front and not just male characters, which is great. And I'm not being ironic, I'm dead serious. The reason why I started, and I'm now going to be talking about why I started this time around, is basically because it's a really nice sort of relaxing kind of a thing to do. And that's when I'm talking about painting miniatures and sort of building terrain. You can really sort of zone in and not really pay attention too much about the real world outside, and you can be, in a futuristic world, you can be in a fantasy world, and it's about, the important things in life is about what brush should I use, what type of paint do I like, and this is a really cool mini or not. My like real life, which is the stuff that goes on outdoors, sometimes gets a bit kind of serious. I travel a lot for work. I visit places that aren't always really nice. I tend to work with organizations that try to help children in sort of vulnerable positions, which might be a war or stuff like that. So, and I'm not doing this all the time, but it happens a couple of months a year, and I see a lot of things that a lot of people probably wish they wouldn't have seen. And so it's great to have a hobby that just isn't about that. Everything is made up, and the worst thing that you can do is like paint a mini wrong or lose a game, and that's it. another great thing with this hobby is that, you know, there's so many facets to it. You can be on your own, paint your miniatures. You can paint miniatures with friends. You can make terrain just right out of your head, and sort of, you know, you've got a bit of a crafting sort of artsy kind of a thing going. Perfect. There's also the games, which is, you know, in the end, most of us, we paint miniatures to put on a table to play a game, which we most of the time do with someone else. It might be a stranger, it might be a friend. But, you know, it's just, there's a lot of different ends to this sort of very spider webby hobby. Something else I like about this hobby, which is a major reason why I'm, you know, still in it after I've started again, you know, 2 years back, whatever it is nowadays there's communities going. When I was playing these things, you know, you did it with like a friend or two or five, but it was like personal acquaintances. I know here in Stockholm only of like one place where you actually could buy the minis, and they didn't really have any gaming tables and stuff like that. There was no sort of Games Workshop store back then. It was a small thing you did with friends. Now, you know, it's really is a communal hobby. You can meet lots of people on the internet, or through like, you know, wherever your game store where you can go and play and stuff like that. And most of the people you meet are nice people. And yeah, you know, life isn't always like that. That being said, I have been quite sort of disappointed lately, realizing that, you know, because of the recent Black Lives Matter, which is like Black Lives Matter, and before that there's a Me Too movement, and all these things that they grow out of very negative things being going on, get brought to light, and hopefully that leads to a more positive outcome than if they wouldn't have been brought to light. And YouTube creators in this hobby have been breaching these subjects, and they've been, you know, in some cases been getting some real bad energy back. And that sort of that realization sort of puts me down. Now, I know people have different views on life. Personally, I've got to say that, you know, in these cases, there is like a right and a wrong, like Black Lives Matter, and we should have like freedom of, you know, equal gender, whatever. Wherever you're from, whoever you are, your rights are the same. And, you know, if you don't think that, then, you know, you should seriously have some discussions with the people around you, and people from different walks of life and from different places, and do that for some time. And, you know, yeah, I'm not going to get into this more than that, but it just brought me down, that realization that it was not just sort of a really positive community. And yeah. Where would you like your channel to go? The thing is, my YouTube channel, I started it for pretty much two reasons. One was just to keep me going. When I started the hobby, I bought the Soul Wars box, which I had the book around here. This is the lovely book I got in the Soul Wars box. And I try and find different ways of motivating myself. One of the things is I like to try new things all the time. I'm not very good at sort of going, oh, this is the way I like to paint, and then I stick to that. It's pretty much every time I sit down and paint, it takes forever because I'm trying new stuff. And having a YouTube channel, I thought, you know, that'll keep me going as well, because I'm going to have to be forced to keep on creating content, which means I need to keep on painting stuff. That's why I started the YouTube channel. And then I realized that, you know, it's kind of fun to... It made me try even more new things. Like, what's this? I don't know. Let's make a video about it. How do I paint that? I don't know. Let's make a video about it. And so, my channel is mainly about you seeing me doing something for the first time. It's not always obvious. I try and sort of remind myself and other people about that, but pretty much every video is me doing something new. And so, either I run out of new things to try and I stop making YouTube videos. The YouTube channel itself is so integrated with my own hobby. Like if I buy a new army because I want to play it with friends, then that new army ends up on the YouTube channel, and so on and so forth. So I can't really see myself stopping unless I stop the hobby, which that's not really on the horizon because it still feels like I just started. The only negative thing, which is in the sort of where do you see the YouTube channel going, is because I try new things all the time. It could be painting minis in different ways. It could be building terrain, and a lot of people like to watch someone who's good at what they do. It's like if you've got a really, really good painter and they make a tutorial about painting black armor, then if you're on YouTube and you're going like, I want to learn how to paint black armor, you're going to go for the professional dude and not the dude that's doing it the first time. And secondly, it also sort of, if you're really into building terrain, you might be following a channel that only builds terrain, maybe using pretty much the same techniques all the time. It's just sort of the build that changes, so you can sort of get ideas for new builds, but you're sort of sticking to your technique. And mine's all over the place. And I'm guessing, probably some of you enjoy that. But it's also a bit of a sort of damper on, I think, how well the channel can go, because it's just sort of all over the place. I'm also recently getting maybe into a bit more just talking about thoughts, like in this video. And they're always sort of maybe not doing too well either. So, we'll see. These videos are so entwined, as I said, with my own hobby. So you're probably going to have to just stand me making them for as long as I hobby. And that being said, I'm really grateful for the people that subscribe to my channel and view my videos, and you that are supporting me on Patreon, my patrons, thanks. What advice would I give to a hobbyist joining the YouTube game? I'm not much of an advice kind of a person. I like to try myself, whatever it is that I'm going to be doing, and then I can say that's this is how it worked out for me. I don't like to pretend that I've been doing this for 20 years and I can give you some advice. I could give you advice about other things that I've been doing for a lot longer. But on YouTube, seriously, I don't understand really YouTube, and I don't really like the way it works. It's like if you do something that looks a bit sort of fun and crazy and a lot of people go like, wow, what's that? Then your sort of video just sort of spreads and spreads and spreads. And it's all about sort of just the one video. It's not so much about a narrative or what your channel's on about, or if you've just got a boring picture of me going, I'm going to be talking about airbrush. Not all that many people click, because the system is sort of built that way. And I don't really like how the system is built, because I just get the feeling that there's so much, the wealth of information that's out there just isn't available to us because it hasn't got sort of the right thumbnail or doesn't look cool enough. That doesn't mean the actual information isn't worth anything. And so, me and YouTube, we're friends. We just agree to disagree. So the only advice that I feel that I can give is like, try just to do exactly what you would like to see and what you like. Because as soon as you try to do something, something that someone else is already doing, chances are they're doing it better because they are probably doing what they like. And the thing you will be best at is doing what you like. And you don't have to worry about cameras and technical stuff. And, you know, if you want to start one, just, you know, start one and see how you go and stick to what you like. And if you go sort of, I want to animate myself painting, do it. There's probably more people that would, you know, like that than if you would go like, I'm going to make, you know, I had this idea about making a video about a wet palette. That's a good one. I know, I've done one. Everyone's done one. And you can do that too. But what you've got going is the only thing that is sort of unique. Because there's so many of us doing things on YouTube. So that's the only thing that, you know, and obviously if you're great and you're like, I want a golden demon, you know, that is kind of unique and you could just go with that and say you're the best. Or if you go like, I like hanging upside down for the ceiling, painting all my miniatures, great. Just go with what you're doing and just start doing it. And after you've filmed 30 videos, then, you know, then you'll know everything about cameras and light and, you know, because you'll sort of pick it up as you go. That was a lot of rambling, yeah? So in the end, I'm supposed to be sending this, you know, I am a Wargamer on to lots more different people. And at first I thought, you know, because this isn't really my thing, but Leif asked me and, you know, I can't really refuse Leif because he's a really nice guy. But, you know, I'm supposed to pass it on. And I asked some people that I thought it would be really interesting just to show their stuff. But they've all sort of been asked by other people to do this thing. So I'm not going to be passing this along. The buck ends here, kind of a thing. Yeah. This was my response to Spud from Chilling Wargamers and Leif from Devs and Dices, sort of I am a Wargamer. I hope it's been random and confusing enough for you. And thanks for watching. Bye.